Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Idle Heroes account. We've got rather enormous news to discuss today. Rather fantastic. It turns out the 10-1-9 Valkyrie stage, as per the last video, was such an enormous friggin' wall that after clearing it, I just had the stats to clear the remainder of Chapter 10. So that's rather funny, how the difficulty curve went with this. It's actually a downwards ramp, at least the plateau, where it just dips after 10-1-9 and then remains a little bit below that point. So rather funny. But anyway, this was the next big wall, was the 6 Gustins, and we had to unleash a little bit of interesting technology, a little bit of tech, little strategery, if you will, little funkery, to make this clear happen. And I'm going to break that down right now. What I was looking for is I went to look at my 961, that's the 6 Gustin stage of late Chapter 9, to see how I cleared that, and I noticed something a little bit interesting. Contrary to what was happening to me in my 10-3-9 attempts, where SQH, DGN, and Wukong were just absolutely unleashing hell with their damage and divine power and madness upon the Gustins, and thus resulting in a hellfire of pings from the Gustins and just absolutely atomizing my team within the first 2 rounds, which was bad news. Something different happened with the 961 clear. Wukong, he was attacking, but he did not trigger not one, nary a ping, 0 pings from the Wukong, which is very interesting. And the difference here was Wukong was T5 at that point. Wukong was D14 on my account when I was in Chapter 10. So I was thinking, if, hypothetically, theoretically, potentially, the Chapter 9 and 10 enemies have a very high amount of divine power, it is possible, in theory, to remove the divine power from your supports and thus reduce the amount of damage they do to the Gustins because of the divine power gap to the point where they deal friggin' nothing and thus trigger no pings. And that's precisely what I did. I regressed the Destiny back to T5 on Wukong, DGN, and SQH, and it worked a treat. Just watch their next attacks. It's friggin' sweet. All of them, each one, deal precisely -1s with every time they interact with a Gustin, which is positively sweet because the Gustins do not mind that. You just tickle them and they don't ping you back. So you just give them a little pat and they like that. So treat Gustins how you would have them do unto you, and they shall. They shall not harm you if you do not harm them, and thus that's the strategy I unleash. It's of course a big ruse. All my supports deal them no harm, and then SSM comes in and just wipes them off the face of the friggin' planet with an enormous active skill. But yeah, so if you have some soul symbols to spare and you're stuck on the Gustin stage, I would highly recommend regressing perhaps 1 to 2 of your support heroes. Wukong, DGN, and SQH were the ones that I regressed because their destiny trees do not add a whole lot of benefit to the damage output of the team. I left LBRM and PDE's destiny skills intact because they add relatively a lot, relatively a ton to the offensive power of my team. So, yeah, PDE slot 1 on the team holding the Giga Fan. She is there because of some tech that somebody in the free-to-play chat taught me. I don't know if they want to be shouted out specifically, but you know who you are. If you do want to be shouted out, let me know, and I will definitely address you by name. But if you wish to be unnamed for now, you know who you are. Thank you immensely for your help. I greatly appreciate it. But so the tech here is basically PDE is Nirvana right now. She is set to gain her Destiny transition power on taking hits. So that's the 3rd skill on the first Destiny node. And so the Gustins all hit slot 1 with their basic attacks, feed Destiny transition power to PDE, and since PDE's trigger condition for activating her Destiny tree is also taking hits, she is fed her transition power and then activating her tree multiple times in the first round, assuming she doesn't dodge. Which is rather cool for buffing SSM's power. So rather awesome there. Giga Fan just for the sake of survival. If I could have held a mirror, I would have done so. It would have been a little bit better. But sadly, Fan was needed. Next on the team, we have Wukong, LBRM, in speed order to layouts of damage reduction, followed closely behind by DGN, who moves the damage reduction around, making SSM hit harder against a much more delicate line of Gustins, which is cool. SQH coming afterwards, just to make sure DGN does not replicate any of SQH's thingies, making sure to only move the important stuff from LBRM and Wukong. So that's rather cool. PDE I have going before SQH just to get some dubs out in case that can potentially spare me a ping. But yeah, rather awesome. Rather awesome. I also reset the guild tech, 1 for crit. I was critting too many times. I do need my crit relatively high because I have Hunter's Focus. And so I reset the guild tech to get off some crit. I think it reduced me 15% crit from there, which is rather cool. And also some speed, allowing me to put more soul power in the SSM Awaken while keeping the speed order of my team intact, thus raising his attack ever so slightly. So we'll move on now. As I said before, I was kind of just able to dust most of this 10-1-9, enormous wall. Afterwards, you just kind of clear a whole bunch of stages, it was a good time. I won't lie. It felt very fun. Probably the most fun I've had in Idle Heroes in a very long time. Good time. Loved it. Moving along, it did get a little bit more difficult towards the very end. 10-6-3 right here. They kind of it's Valkyrie City, by the way, in 10-6. So be prepared if you're pushing Chapter 10. Prepare for Valkyries. Valkyries aplenty. Hope you like them. After 10-1-9 in the Gustins, I actually welcomed Valkyrie stages. They're nowhere near as annoying. So yeah, I used Unbending Will and a very high crit percent to do the rest of these. Elden Ring, Night Rain from a streamer that I watch. You can ignore that. But yeah, so that's how we did it. You'll see there, just moving from Valkyrie stage to Valkyrie stage. Rather irritating. But yeah, so this is basically the same setup. I use the exact same setup for all the Valkyrie stages all throughout Chapter 10. So that's fun. We'll watch this one more time, and then we'll move ourselves along. Absolutely huge damage. I did rebuild the Destiny tree. This is the team I like for my Unbending Will SSM strategy. Star Alchemist Holmes Young going first to gain his transition power, and then buffing attack on SSM with every ally active skill that occurs subsequently. Rather cool. Moving ourselves along, what do we got? Oh yeah, we got another Valkyrie stage. Surprise, surprise. 10-6-4 immediately afterwards. Same team as I alluded to. Bam. You'll notice Wukong does not go very fast. He's very slow here, and that is because I don't have the damage to kill the Valks round 1 with the Unbending Will setup. And if Wukong goes twice and goes before SSM, he is just getting a second round of stuns off on the Valks. And that is just bad news, because then it's Nuke City for everybody. And nobody's happy in Nuke City. Nobody likes to live there. Not a good time. So, yeah, Wukong goes last. The only time he went forward, before SSM was on 10-1-9, when I could reliably have Wukong just die from the sheer volume of burning that was going on at the end of round 1. Other than that, I ran Wukong last, slower than SSM. So that's rather cool. Bam! 10-6-4, done and dusted. Let's move ourselves along. There was one more stage. I think it's 10-4-5, maybe 10-6-8. Sure enough, Valkyrie and Holmes. Yeah, like I said, Valkyrie City up in here. Not a good place to live, but it is a path that you must tread one way or another if you wish to finish Void Campaign. So that's rather cool. This is the first time, actually, that I've ever finished Void Campaign. I've come close with Chapter 6, I do believe, and Chapter 5, maybe, as well. But they always released the next chapter of Void Campaign just maybe a month or two before I was able to clear. And it was always just something that I was always chasing and never achieved. And now I achieved that. Look how satisfying that was. God, SSM is so cool. I love him. And there's 10-6-9. Triple Valk, Triple Flame Strike. As I said, Valkyrie friggin' City. Not a good time for any parties involved. What was I saying? 10-4-5, I think. I might pull up the game after this, mayhaps, and we'll take a look. But it's absolutely devastating. It's Gaggy, it's SQH, it's Holmes Young, it's Drake, it's Patricia. It's so yucky stage. Not a good time. That's the only one I don't actually have a video of. Oh, Oh, I should put on Do Not Disturb. But something sounds fun, apparently. Yeah, so that's cool. That's cool. Okay, Do Not Disturb on. Very nice. Okay. Bam. Carter and Johnny. All right. Yeah. So what you needed to do there was just attack debuff spam. I have the setup posted on Discord. We're not going to talk about it because I would just be trying to recall, and it's not going to work out. My powers of recall are not very strong this day. So, attack debuff spam. That's the way you do it. You use BQA. You use Mockman in the front line because he lays an absolutely humongous attack debuff, which is very cool. I used, I think, 3 DFX Snows to lay the attack debuff down on fast enemies, pardon me, and then DGN to spread the stuff around. Dirty work to get that thing done, but we did get it. And here is the final stage of Chapter 10. We'll go back to watch 10.6.9, because who doesn't like watching SSM rip Valks apart? But yeah, so this is basically how you go about Chaos Bound Spirit, Yagi Waves, somebody who does a passive counterattack. You'll see there. You just kind of spam attack debuffs, and so everything on this stage just deals -1 to you, making you very, very safe. There's Roseheart Fanatic Williams, the boss, doing positively nothing, just tickling my whole team a little bit. So my team kind of enjoyed that. Nice, gentle massage for everybody. And now I am just free to keep on attacking, keeping on spamming the attack debuffs. It would be better if Wukong were here, but hey, his sacrifice was not in vain. We did survive. There's the Purple Fire Chicken, the Phoenix. Very happy to have him around. They did get the damage display fixed at the Dragon Boat event release update, so that's rather cool. You'll notice they still are not able to deal any sort of significant damage to me, triggering SSM his counters, and now he's in his offensive state, so the fight is nigh complete. Bam, bam. Damage ramping up significantly. All kinds of stuff going out on the enemies, lots of attack debuffs. Will we get a fulfilled ally? I think we'll have at least one fulfillment. I did get the burst skill unlocked on the Bloom Star Soul, so now a big, enormous, sexy space tree shows up on my team when SQH attacks in round 4. So that's cool, granting a fulfillment effect to my team, or at least to one ally. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if it had much bearing on the actual fight, but it's cool nonetheless. There's the tree. Bam. Super cool. SSM and Star Alchemist Homes are now fulfilled. You can see the little golden apple rotating to the right around the enemy or their character model. So that's cool. And that leaves Yormtum, the sole survivor, and soon to be the sole not survivor, the soul deader. There he is, joining the rest of his team in the afterlife and putting me at the end of Void Campaign. There's the Horde unlock, claiming out my lootage. The 11th on iOS to clear Void Campaigns. That's rather cool. Compared to the others who have cleared it, I dare say it's relatively minimal. Not absolutely minimal. There have been smaller clears. There have been 2 DTVs who cleared it with around 160, 155, 160 million attack. So DTV does it, SSM does it. RFW might have a hard time against 10.19. Don't know. But yeah, that's that. Chapter 10 cleared, 21.7 million attack on that there treasure train. I do have a maxed Spectre Star Soul, a max Nova, a level 12, I think, Bloom, a level 11 Plume, and a level 1 Pupil, so I do not have Pupil at all. These are all the heroes that I had, so that's kind of cool. And now we can just look at 10.6.9. I don't know if I show my stuff after this. I may or may not, but it's just going to be more of the same, really. Supports doing all of their lovely, lovely stuff. Bam, 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 bam. SSM doing some damage round 1, and then he's just going to tear them apart round 2, which is going to be absolutely beautiful. Here come the fireworks. Pow, pow, pow. Bam. 2 dead, and then he's going to kill the rest round 3. And that will be that. That's all the stages that I have recorded of late, Chapter 10. Again, I'm very sorry I don't have 10.4.5 recorded, but that one was very annoying, and I just could not be bothered. So it is not recorded. We passed it, obviously, but yeah, quite irritating. I'll show my stuff. 160 million attack around on that SSM to get the clear. We'll pull up the game now, just to show you. Hello, hello, and here we be back on the account in real time. You'll notice a few copies are missing, or a few heroes are missing their copies. Bloodtide Queen Aurelia and Chaos-Bound Spirit Gaggy. That is because I would rather have their Starry Gem value in the Starry Gems than the copies. I just don't think that they are necessarily worth it at A tier, so they have been sent off to the auction house to come back in the form of Starry Gems. I am considering building another damage dealer. The possibility of Void Campaign Island 11, I believe, is going to be coming out this month at some point. And as you saw in the prior clears, my damage was just barely enough to scrape by. And with the power systems currently in the game, I mean, I don't really have an easy way of getting more. The attack here is much more than what I use for Void Campaign because it's my PvP setup right now. We're all speeded out and stuff, and we got max soul power on here. My damage was not. I don't suspect that I would be able to get kills by the end of round 2 with SSM with the current power systems. Just don't have enough punch. I can't really upgrade the copy because that would be uber expensive, and also the tenants. They're also looking pretty good at this time. So, what option does that leave? Well, that leaves one. If Charm Seeking Knowledge gets its new upgrade, maybe that would spare me some pain. But also, what I might consider is introducing a 2 damage dealer lineup. I suspect that a Roseheart Fanatic Williams, active skill, the enormous one, might supply more damage than a support hero would to SSM. So 2 damage dealers might actually provide enough bite to my team to be able to punch through Chapter 11 waves with the current power systems that exist in the game. So those Starry Gems may go towards a Roseheart Fanatic Williams. Also, a potential build, which, by the way, would be much more convenient because I don't have Roseheart Fanatic Williams core, nor do I have cores for his slot 2 Tenant. I just recently got Asmodel the Dauntless Noble core available, so that's cool. But what I might do is get Doom Terminator Vulcan. Much more convenient. He gets to be a tenant for DGN when she's a main homeowner and damage dealer. He can also use DGN as a tenant, which the copy is pretty decent for that purpose there. And also, MFG is a tenant for him, and so I'd be able to just double dip on the tenant copies. That would be very convenient. I also wouldn't need to have Gaggy on the account. So he might be a Nirvana hero that I can build. So it's looking like DTV or RFW might be on the account, depending on how things go. And that would involve getting Noble Cores. I would just need a Noble Core for DTV, which wouldn't actually be very difficult because I've got these sitting here, and I've got these sitting here. So we're just about there, actually, and I already have cores for the tenants, so that would be rather convenient. RFW, less convenient. Don't have cores, don't have copies. Very expensive change if I decide to go that route. And sadly, RFW, I suspect, would be much better in that role than DTV would be. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out, I'm sure. But in the meantime, that's all I really have to offer. Have yourselves a lovely day. I appreciate you stopping by to watch. I love you all. Have a good one. Talk soon. Bam. Oh, by the way, one last thing. Somebody cleared like right after I did. So they're all getting ready for Chapter 11 as well, it seems. Anywho, I will talk to you all later. Have yourselves a lovely one. Bye-bye.